All right, you guys. Technical difficulties. Facebook decided to do some crazy update and I can't go live in my Facebook page. So tell me if you see this. Tell me if you see me. And then we'll get started. Give me like some little DMs or some little messages. Let me know how you're doing. If you have any questions, go ahead and start dropping them so I can see them as we go. Okay, I see a couple of you guys giving hearts. So crazy. Like, I've been ready for like 20 minutes and I have not been able to go live. This is super weird. So I found an old iPad, charged it. Here we are. And hopefully this will maybe like allow me to show you my phone a little bit too, so you can see, maybe see what it is that I want to show you as well. So we're gonna make the most of this. So I'm really excited to talk a little bit about Instagram with you guys. This is something that Julie and Micah both were like, you gotta share about Instagram. Stories have been one of my like favorite things ever. And so I'm gonna talk all about kind of my tips and things of what I do, things that, a lot of my team does, things that we all have kind of implemented, which has really helped create good momentum and engagement in our business. And it's also kind of the main place that I really conduct most of my business. So, okay, can you hear me okay? And we'll go ahead and get started if so. So I wanna start with, I see some yeses. Okay, cool. So I wanna start with this quote because I've always loved it. And I feel like it's a really powerful one for what we're about to talk about as far as Instagram goes. So let me pull up where I can see your guys' questions on time. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me start with this quote. It says, "It's important that we share our experiences with other people. When you tell your story, you free yourself and give other people permission to acknowledge their own story." Okay, let me say it one more time. It's important that we share our experiences with other people. When you tell your story, you free yourself and give other people permission to acknowledge their own story. I love that so much. I feel like that's like the epitome of what we do as coaches, is that we get to share our story in order to empower and to help, connect with other women or men, but to be able to help them find their own passion, their own voice, their own confidence. And that's what I love so much about what we do. But in regards to telling stories, Instagram stories are where it's at. It's such an easy way to connect with people. And I think back to when I started coaching, it was 5.5 years ago. We didn't have this. It was post 3 to 5 times a day, and that's all you had. So you didn't have a place to really build this connection with people like we have now. So you guys are in like a really cool spot, because although it's been a learning curve for all of us who started, way before me and back at 5.5 years ago, stories are a really, really neat place that continually evolve. There's always new things to do on them. So obviously you can get totally carried away with the fun stuff, which we'll talk about some of those things. And I know some of you guys have questions about that kind of stuff, but stories, you guys, are really where you're able to, I'm sure you've heard the word breadcrumb, storytell, give a backstage pass, a little glimpse into your life and who you are. And I would dare to say that this is almost more important than what you put in your feed. When Julie and I were talking about this last night, she's like, it's really like your feed is like your storefront, but your stories are kind of what's inside the store. And I could not have put it any better. It's so true. So your feed, your stories, we've talked about this on my first call right on Sunday. We talked a lot about what your feed can look like, the type of posts you can make, things like that, which is awesome. But then in your stories, you have to back that up. If they don't see anything that you're making a big call to action post about in your stories, you're missing out, and you're missing out on the opportunity to connect and create relationships with people. So when you are thinking about what to put in your Instagram stories, I want to give you guys some tips and kind of just talk about some things that I do. And that's, like I said, it's kind of hard to show you without being able to really screen share on a Facebook Live, but we're going to do the best I can. And then obviously you can kind of scroll through and check out my Instagram stories too, because a lot of what I'll talk about is still, I think, up on my feed from yesterday and today. So, okay, so Instagram stories, you guys, this is your place that really solidifies that you are really true to what you're saying and what you're doing. A lot of times I've been having a ton of new coach conversations recently, and when we're talking about Instagram stories and talking about just in general what to post, a lot of times they're like, well, I'm making all these posts and stuff, but then you go to their stories and there's nothing about what they do as a coach. So they might be talking the talk on their Instagram page, but in their stories, they're not walking the walk. You guys, your stories are where you're gonna do that. So I'm sure you guys have heard that phrase, like talking the talk and walking the walk. You have to do both, right? You can talk all day long about what it is that you can offer people, but if you are not showing them in your stories, you are missing out on an insane opportunity to create connection with them and to create trust. One of the biggest things about people joining you in this business is they have to trust you. They have to buy into you and what you do. So imagine if I come to invite you and I'm like, girl, I've got this awesome community, I've got these crazy awesome workouts and this like shake that, man, it's amazing in pregnancy because I can't eat anything. I'm not pregnant, but just giving an example. And I'm talking about all these awesome things, all these awesome benefits, all this huge community that I get to be a part of, and they're like, yeah, okay, cool. And they go look at my stories and there's like maybe 2 stories there, and I've never shown my workouts. I've never talked about any benefits of Shakeology or what's in my food and things that I make. I've never once shared any kind of like boomerang of my team or any stories of anything. They've never seen any of that. Can you imagine how hard it is for somebody then to really trust me and really want to be a part of what I do? Because anyone can spit out information about something to join, but there's only a certain amount of people who can really build that connection with people. And that's what I want to help you guys do in your stories, of really walk that walk of, share everything that you want to share with them and invite them to everything you want to invite them to, but your stories need to be fully packed with all of that goodness. They need to know beyond a shadow of a doubt when you go to invite them to something, or when you put a swipe up once you get to 10,000 followers, or you direct them to a form or to a poll, you have been giving. You have been sharing your journey and what you do over and over and over and over again, everywhere in your story, so that beyond a shadow of a doubt, they know that you are doing what it is you're inviting them to become a part of with you. So that is what I want to really hammer home with you guys, is to remind you that that's so important, to be able to share both sides of things. They need to really see all of this displayed in your stuff. So now stories, okay? I share a lot of stories. That's kind of like that's my place. That's my place that feels like home. And I've really created a community there that feels like my own. If you do it in the right way and you really just open up and share, I know it's scary. I know everyone has their walls up of what they want to share about and what they don't want to share about. But when you can open up and really create this place where you just sit in front of the camera and you just sit and you talk to them like they are your friends, I promise you, they will, they'll get to know your personality. They'll get to know that you are who you are. They'll get to create connection with you on all these different things in your life. And they're also gonna just see that you're just a normal person like them, and they're gonna want to continue to come back because they feel like you're their friend. And so if you have this wall up of not wanting to share too much, or not wanting too afraid to talk to the camera, you guys, I ask my new coaches this all the time. I'm like, can you imagine if I had never talked to you like on Instagram, if I had never like talked like this, you would not know who I am. Because when we get on our calls, then I'm the same person. I'm the same person that I was on Instagram with them as I am on my one-on-one call with them, where we're just chatting and talking about getting them started. And that's the idea that you want to feel. This is not a place to be fake or to kind of create this like perfect glimpse into things. This is like the fun part, because you get to be just real. You guys, okay, so on your stories, pretty much, I would say about 90% of my business is run on Instagram stories. 90%. I dare to say even like 95, but that seems excessive. So, because I do run a good bit in my email. So I'll say 90. I very, very rarely now post about any type of call to action really on my feed. Yes, I will talk about my journey. I will use kind of that HICA formula that I taught you guys, and I'll talk about, where I was, kind of that before, during, and after. This is where I was, this is kind of what I started to experience because I took this leap of faith, and now this is what it's doing in my life. I will make posts like that. But 90 to 95% of my business is run in my stories. That is where I hit over Success Club 100 usually, every single month. That is where I do all my call to actions. That is where I do all of my inviting. That is where I do all of my connecting. Everything in Instagram stories. And a very large bit of my team and of my really big leaders really pretty much only do their stuff in Instagram stories as well, and they'll tell you the same thing. So this is where it gets good, because you can create whatever kind of community you want on your stories, And you have to really think about, who is it that you're trying to reach? It's the same thing, you guys, that we talk about for your feed, but you just pull it into your Instagram story. So who are the people that you're trying to talk to? What do they need from you? What do they relate to? When you share something, what are you getting a lot of DMs about? Start taking note of those things and sharing more of those things. You'll kind of start to see a trend of what they like. Like for me, people really love when I share clothes, like what I'm wearing that day. And if I don't, they're like, you need to do more stories about what you're wearing. You know, I miss when you used to do that. And that's telling. If you get that more than just 1 or 2 times, people are asking for things that they want to know about. Because the stuff that they're connecting with you on, you guys, in your stories, is all the other stuff. It's not your coaching stuff. It's not your workouts and things like that. Yeah, they might watch and they might see that, and it's slowly building this connection and it's slowly building this trust in you. But the rest of the stuff that you share is what they connect with you on. So if you are somebody that's watching your stories, you want to know about them. Are they a family person? Are they religious? Do they like to bake or cook? Like, are you sharing some cool recipes? Are you really into skincare and you love to share about makeup that you get, or little hauls from Ulta and things like that? Are you really into being a mom? Like, do you share little things that you do with your kids, or crafts or activities? All those other things, you guys, those are the things that people are connecting with you on. That is what builds that connected tissue, so that when, right, you're giving, you're showing a haul, a grocery haul, you're showing a haul of makeup that you get from Ulta, you're showing clothes, you're showing fun activities to do, you're showing a glimpse into, going out to golf at the country club, or you're showing going on a walk outside and doing a scavenger hunt and giving them an idea of something that they can do with their kids. All these other things that are like 80% of what you share, those are the things that people connect with. So don't be fake. Don't share the things that aren't really you. Share the things that truly are you. If somebody asks you, what are the priorities in your life? What are the things that you love? What are your hobbies? What do you enjoy if you have free time? That is the stuff that should show up in your stories. You're giving, you're sharing, you're connecting, and then you're inviting. And then you are doing maybe a call to action. I'm going to talk about some different types of call to actions in a minute. But once you do that, then you're doing that connection. It's that same thing that we talked about on my Instagram tutorial with you guys of give, more, give more, connect more, give more opportunities for them to connect and trust you, so that when you go to invite them, you do a story slide, you do some call to actions, they're more apt to follow you and to swipe up or to go to your profile or whatever it is, because they connect with you on all the other stuff. That's the stuff that is building trust with them and building them into a person that could be your best friend in life, right? In real person and in real life. And that's the best part of it. That's the best part about creating this community, is that's your opportunity to create and form the type of community of women that you want to be with you, that you want to work with. And that's by what you share and bringing in people. The women that are on my team are so similar to me. We have the same kind of likes, the same kind of lifestyle stage of kids. We have similar hobbies. We like the same kind of fashion and things like that. We have a lot of things in common, and that's because of what I share consistently on my stories, the way that I talk, the way that I share that my faith is a big part of who I am. I bring in a lot of women who have those same kind of qualities, so that when they're watching maybe all these other people invite, they connected with me above somebody else who maybe wasn't sharing some of those things. Okay, so that's a lot of talk, all about all the things that you can do to create connection with people, and why stories really are the place, you guys. If you do it well, and if you just kind of throw the fear out of there and you throw the worry about, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, cool. All the things that you think are boring about you, share those. I guarantee you that you'll get a message from somebody being like, oh gosh, I had to vacuum today too, like I hate it. Don't you just love those vacuum lines? Or oh my gosh, I know I had to go grocery shopping today too. Just anything that you think is boring, that's the stuff that people want to see, which is so a weight should be lifted. That should be like your permission to be like, okay, cool, I'm going to share all the boring stuff because that's what people want to see. That's the good stuff. And then anyone can invite. I'm sure your upline, your coach is giving you ways to invite. Anyone can add that in, but only one person can be you, and only one person can connect with the people that she needs to connect with. So this is your opportunity to step it up and to be who you need to be, to connect with the women that you want to bring in. Okay? So now let's move on. Let's talk about different types of of stories that you can do, okay? Because all of this is very, very important. I wanted to do the Instagram training, the content training at the beginning, and I wanted to do this Instagram training kind of similar to the beginning also, because as you guys are doing your invites and your tracker, you guys have your tracker that you're posting every Wednesday, reminder to post those tomorrow, but you're doing all this inviting and connecting and stuff. It makes it 10 times easier to do that power hour and to do that tracker if you're being mindful and sharing all this stuff in your stories. If you've been mindful to share you, but to also have a little bit of your workouts, to have a little bit of your nutrition, a little bit of like, hey, I'm doing some team stuff, like look at this, can't believe I get to be on video with my girlfriends. Whatever it is, as you're doing that too, then that's still up the next day. You go to do your power hour and wow, you have all these opportunities of stories to swipe up on and go connect with people who are watching them. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so types of stories. This is a bit of a recap from last week, Sunday. So I want to just remind you of them, okay? So we've got different types of stories that you can do. And after this, if you go look, I wish I could, I don't think you guys can really see this very well of me sharing on my phone. So I'll try to show at the end of it. But B-roll is where we use that app called Hyperlapse, okay? So Hyper, Hyperlapse, Hyperlapse. And a lot of my coaches have started to use this. A B-roll is just showing a moment. It is showing a moment that would have maybe happened over the course of 20, 30 minutes, an hour, but you want to share about it, but obviously you're not going to share a 1 hour video, right? Or a 20-minute video, but you want people to feel that they can be in that moment with you. And so you're going to use this B-roll footage. So you're going to use that app like Hyperlapse. I see Julie doing it in the morning when she's doing her, energize, and you see her, you're watching her put in all the little things and you're wanting to see. I'm like, what's that second pack that you just put in there, right? She's letting us be in the moment with her of making her morning energize and getting ready for her workout. For me, it's a morning routine, and my video is set aside and people are getting a glimpse into my morning routine. They see how it's starting so that it's not every day sharing. Here's a boomerang of my devotion. Here's a boomerang of my invites. It's not the same thing. It's different. Somebody is being able to look in at my routine and they see me just moving about slowly, drinking my coffee, writing in my journal, doing my devotion, maybe kissing a kid that comes up to me, finishing something on the computer. And then that's easily shared in 4 story slides. Like, so simple. But then I have the opportunity to connect with the people who maybe don't have the opportunity to listen. So they still get to feel the moment, but then they get to read the words. And I can share about why, maybe why my morning routine is like this, how I used to struggle with waking up early, but I've started to implement these 3 things. And the next slide might be like, do you struggle with creating a morning routine too? Maybe the next story slide's like, would you love if I shared, a couple tips tomorrow on a post about how to make a morning routine? I mean, you can use it for anything. You can share a story, you can connect with them. Instead of just thinking about putting videos out there and putting stories out there, always be thinking about, is there a story that I can tell with what I'm sharing? Is there a moment that I can let them into? And I know it's hard because it's, you're maybe busy throughout the day. No one knows if you're posting in the real time, so post later. Half the time, like I've got probably 10 stories that I want to post today, but I haven't posted them yet because I've been on new coach calls. I'm training you guys, and so I'll share them later. That's still good stuff. So I've already made my Hyperlapse video of my workout and stuff, and I'm going to share about it in there later. But so when you're sharing your workouts and you're sharing your morning routine or a moment that you want to let people into, be thinking about that. Be thinking about what kind of story, what kind of verbiage and words can you put with your story that you're about to share to give them a glimpse into what it is and to let them feel a part of your journey, right? Because words are powerful. So that's just one way, okay? So that's that app again. I see more questions. Hyperlapse. Hyperlapse, Hyperlapse. It's free and it's super easy to use. Literally, like, click the button and walk away, and then you can change it and save it like super sped up or a little bit sped up. So like sometimes if it's a shorter video, like I'll save it to where it would be like at the 15-second mark, so I can easily just put that into my stories. Okay, so that's Hyperlapse, a great way to let people into the moment. Talking videos, okay? So these are, again, like kind of like what I'm doing with you. I can prop my phone up, like this is a common thing that I do, okay? Here's my mug, here's my phone, and I tilt it like this, and I've got it looking at, obviously it would be like looking at me like this. So, you know, when you're holding your phone down a little bit, you get a better frame if it's kind of looking down at you instead of looking up, because then you just get all this and it's not the greatest view. So looking down at you like this, and I would just talk to people for like the 1 minute that Instagram gives me. And so that's what a talking at your face, you know, it's called a, oh my gosh, I gave a real word to it, or a real phrase to it the other day, I can't remember, but talking face, I guess is what we'll say, where you're just talking and connecting with them on your feed, and you're talking about, it could be maybe recapping your day, it could be something very intentional that you want to share with them, maybe you're giving them a couple tips, maybe you're talking about, maybe you did a hyperlapse of sharing you doing an activity with your kids, like they're running wild, and maybe it was a big scavenger hunt you did or something crazy. Obviously, you're not going to spend 30 minutes showing the whole time that you spent doing that. So maybe you just have a little camera up and you did a hyperlapse of that. And then after, you've got your story thing here, and you give them like 3 tips to create a really fun, super inexpensive indoor activity with your kids. Again, nothing to do with coaching, nothing to do with anything, but it gives connection to the people that follow me who are moms who I want to talk to, right? Same thing with my workouts. Usually, I'll do a hyperlapse of my workout. They can see that I'm moving about the room, I'm jumping, I'm doing whatever. Then I could do a talking face like this and maybe ask them some questions of, have you ever done this style of workout? Yes or no? Do you need accountability and support for your own fitness journey? Like, do you like to work out with people better than alone? Yes or no? And you can do polls. And then your last little story slide where you're talking to them could be, you know, swipe up and give me more information. I've got a couple spots left in my May accountability group. I'd love to tell you more information. Like, you know, you can use it for anything. So, but when you're talking at people in your stories, these are all different types of stories that I use every single day at some point to just create difference. You want to make sure people are seeing your face, seeing other things. It's not the same. It's constantly just taking them on a different space in your house or in wherever your routine is. So talking at them can be a great way to talk about something that you're going through. Maybe you want to just relate to the camera, relate to them. The way that I also use these is in between call to actions. So the next type of story slide that I'm going to talk about is using static images, which we talked about previously. Let me see if I can give you an example. So I had somebody have me try some muffins the other day, okay? So like my people always love when I share like cool gluten-free things for them. And so, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I just used a still image to show the different types of, this is going back to another one, but to show words that I wanted to put on there. But I used images that were kind of in my color scheme of my feed, and I wanted to share words on it, but instead of it just being a blank page, you can use pictures. So when I use static images, I'll use those for call to actions and things like that. And in between those, I will do my talking face, and I will come in and talk at them. So let me show you an example. I did this last night, and I do this every so often for call to actions, and I'm going to talk specifically about call to actions in just a minute. But so if you can see here, my next slide is going to be about my call to action for this week, right? So I just said happy Monday. And I've got a couple little story slides here, a deck that a lot of my leaders and I, we make different ones, and then we'll just kind of share them throughout the team. So I've got some story decks here, and you know, so I'm talking at them, they're reading things, they're seeing pictures, but then I talk to them. I just talked about how they could become an influencer on my team. And so I'm now giving them some more information. I'm like chatting with them, giving them more information, but also wanting to kind of just expound on what I just shared. So, you know, they're going to go through that, and I only did 4 slides, and then I let them know I have a webinar on Sunday, and then I go to, hey, maybe you don't want to be a coach, but here's a way that you can become just part of my accountability group. I tell them a little information about it, and then again, I talk to them, and I'm expounding on that as well and telling them what it is that they would be able to get involved in one of my accountability groups. So that was a lot, I know. But that's how you can kind of use the mixture between static images as well as talking to them. It can be, again, your voice is so much better. It's 10 times better than any amount of just story slides that you could put on anywhere, or just like taking a picture of things. Anybody can do that, you guys. Anyone can do that, but only you can be you, and only you can connect with people using your voice and your story. That is 10 times better than any picture or any just stock image photo that you could use. So adding those together has been something that has been really, really awesome for my business, of just using a couple slides and then expounding on it, using a couple slides and then expounding on it. I'm going to talk about call to actions, and then I see a lot of questions about templates and things like that. So I'll give you guys some examples on things there as well. Okay, what else? Call to actions. Okay, so like I said, about 90% of my business really is run here. I know I'm taking so much time. I'm sorry, this got really long. So I really use stories for most of my call to actions. This really is like, and I call to action quite a bit. So, and I'll give you kind of like my game plan of what I do. So story slides, obviously you've got Canvas story slides. That's exactly like what you just saw, where, like I said, a lot of my leaders and I will create little story slide decks like this, and we'll be like, can you guys share that one? That was so good. And we'll just kind of share it throughout the team, and they have an opportunity to change up, what they look like. And a couple of my coaches have like a really strong, they're super strong at that in like creating graphics. And so they'll just create some and we'll kind of share them, and then all of us make them our own, which is awesome. And then you kind of use that throughout the week or use that throughout the month and then create a new one. It doesn't always have to be different, but you can use them in different ways. So sometimes it's all just story slides. Sometimes I'm adding talking in between them. Sometimes it's just like, here's 2 slides and it's like swipe up here, and I've got a little video talking about that group. Whatever it is, story slides are really easy to do. So on Canva, C-A-N-V-A, Canva, kind of like canvas.com is a great place to make those, you guys, because you can create them into templates. You can save them. You can save them as a template and share it with your team so that they can use them. It's just such a great way to create really pretty, visible content. Like if you're not strong at that, ask your team if somebody has created any and ask them for a copy, and then make it your own. Change out pictures, change words. But this is a really great, just clear way to put stories out there. Of course, I still just use pictures too, or just like, colors and write words and stuff. But that's a really great way to do a call to action, okay, where you're giving information and letting people know they can swipe up or go to your bio. Another one that works really well for me is doing a boomerang, okay? So I'll be like, I'll maybe have one slide. I'm like, hey, happy Monday. And I'll talk to them. Happy Monday. I just wanted to pop in and tell you guys a couple ways you guys can join me on Monday, or join me this week in my accountability groups. Right now we have some awesome deals going on. So check out the next couple slides and swipe up on any, or go to my bio to click the link for any of the things that maybe stick out to you that you'd want to be a part of. And then I'm like, okay. So then I go into some boomerangs and I'm like, one, this is so cheesy. Okay, 1, okay? And so number 1, it would be like option 1. And then I'd write out the words, option 1, join my 10 rounds boxing group, okay? And then underneath there, a little bit of info about it, 4 days a week or 5 days a week, 30 to 40 minutes a day, minimal equipment needed. I give like the little bits of information, okay? With like a little GIF for like, I don't know, for like swipe up. Then option 2, another boomerang, okay? Little 2. And I've got my filter on it that I use like in my Instagram, okay? So option 2 then is like, not into boxing, want to join my accountability community that I have all year long, swipe up or go to my link in my bio, and I will give you all the information about how you can, I will help you choose a program that works for you, find a meal plan that's perfect for your lifestyle, and I'll get you plugged into accountability and community that we have on this private little interface where you can track your workouts, your nutrition, whatever information I want to give them quickly right there, right? And I say, oh, also, it's $20 off this month. Okay, then three, my third boomerang. This is usually what I do, like especially if there's a big program on, so it's like number 1 is for that specific program, number 2 is for overall, I will help you choose a program, number 3, become an influencer on my team. And then usually I'll add some story slides. So I've got a couple that are just awesome, and it tells you like, 25% off and and all the different things about what it looks like to be an influencer on my team and what I'm going to do for them, what I'm going to mentor them with, all that kind of stuff, okay? So now, this is such an easy way, guys. There's no reason that you should not be doing call to actions, because everybody can do what I just did. Everybody can say, hey, just want to talk to you about some ways you can join me. This community has changed my life, so I'm going to keep inviting you, okay? 1, 2, 3. 3 boomerangs. That was like 5 story slides right there, and you're done. And you invited, and you let people know who you are. You let them feel your voice. Super, super easy, okay? And this is one of the ones that works the best for me, honestly. And I still use story slides too, but people love when you just like talk to them and open up and let them, get to hear who you are. Okay, so that's another call to action, is using boomerangs and things like that. Okay, we talked about combo slides with using like, there was like my Monday post, like here's a couple ways you can join me, and then I'm talking to them, and then option 1, here we go, option 2, all that. So you can do a combination of talking and a story slide as well. And again, I can do every single one of these every single week, and every day it looks different because I'm doing it different ways, but I'm also still having an opportunity to invite them. Because if my main way that I'm working my business and inviting people and getting them into groups is on Instagram stories, then I have to be doing this pretty much every single day. Otherwise, where are my invites at, right? So this is where I really primarily do the most of that. And then also on my call to actions, I will use workout slides and also like boomerangs. Like when you're doing team calls and things like that, like I'll often do like a sequence where I've got a boomerang of my team on my computer here, and I've taken it like that. And then I've got, I save it one time, so I've got the main video just like that. And then I start saving different sequences. So it'll be like, just hop off a team call with my girls, like, what a killer night to have some girl time, and I'll save it. Then I'll add to that text so that it's a second video, so that it's gonna load, had an awesome team call, blah, 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 blah. Then it's another piece of text underneath it, this community has changed my life. 5 years ago, I would have still been like driving home from work right now. There's another sequence, like, and then add your call to action in there, right? Of, are they searching for community or whatever your thing is that you really share with people of why they want to join you. So generally, I would say like Monday is usually when I do like a, hey, it's a new week, here's some ways that you can join me kind of sequence where it's a lot of story slides and then maybe a little bit of talking. Then usually Tuesday and Thursday is where I do kind of like reminders. So it might be like right after I do my workout and I remind them, this is a great way to do it usually for my workout. So I'll share a couple slides of my workout and, again, always painting a story with it. Like maybe I really struggled to wake up, but I'm so glad I crushed it. I got to do it live with my girls on my Zoom, on our work Zoom that we have for my whole team. We're all live whenever we're working out or working. That this community has been such an important part of my own accountability. Do you need to be a part of that? Like, are you struggling with this? Maybe ask a couple questions. Are you struggling with waking up in the morning and having that accountability? Are you struggling with just something that's simple to do during this time and you really want to get a stronghold of that? Let me share with you a couple ways that you can get involved with me. And then I'll add my story slides in there. Maybe here's something about like, choose a program, get started with me in an accountability group. And then if you want to take that up a notch, join me on my team as an influencer. You're going to get access to our accountability group, all the workouts, everything. And also be able to pay it forward by helping somebody else when the time is right for you. So that's a great way to do a call to action too. And generally that's kind of like a Tuesday, Thursday thing for me. And then I would say like Sunday is usually a recap of like, I'll talk kind of tell a little bit of my story of like where I used to be as a teacher. And Sundays are usually really hard for me. Like my husband and I used to fight all the time every Sunday, like almost the whole entire day because we were so stressed out going back to work that week. And so I share about that and then I'll kind of remind them like that they can become a part of this community too, the different options and ways. And then Wednesday and Friday as needed, I will add in other little additional, maybe just little swipe ups or like go to the link in my bio on a workout post or on like a boomerang of me with my girls and just say like, ready to get started, like just swipe up. I can't wait to mentor you. Like just something so simple like that. You got overarching theme, get out of your head. Overarching theme, stop being worried to invite. Just keep doing it because when you do, you have these places to go. I've shared all these different story slides or these opportunities for people to join me. And now we go back on our power hours and that's a great place for my whole entire team. They can go now to their stories or when we do, like my girls host live power hours almost every day at 2 o'clock. And when they're on their power hours, it's like, hey, go to your story invites that you did, swipe up, look at the people who were kind of consistently following for the last couple, swipe up and just say, hey, Rachel, I just wanted to reach out. I saw you watching my stories about my 10 rounds program that I've been doing. Were you just passing by or would you like some more information? I've got 2 spots left and I would love to tell you more about the program if you're interested. So easy. What's the worst they do? Don't answer or they say no or they block you and then they weren't supposed to be there anyways. So, okay, that's a little bit about call to actions. Am I talking too fast? I've got a last couple little things and these are like fluffy things and then I'll go back and see what questions you guys have because I'm talking your ears off. Okay, let's see. Oh, I did see Jessica. So do you do a call to action every single day then? More or less in so many ways. Yes, at some point every day there is always an opportunity to just say swipe up. Well, for I have swipe up, but if you don't have swipe up, just say like, go to the link in my bio. If, you know, if you're feeling this way too, if you're always sharing like how you're feeling, like using kind of like that feel, felt, found kind of feeling of like that before, during, and after, if you're always sharing a little bit of your story, there should always be an opportunity to say, do you feel that too? Or have you ever been in that place too? Like, go to the link in my bio. I would love to help you, or I would love to support you, because I know what it feels like. You know, there's always should be an opportunity for you to feel like you can connect with them, and for you to feel like you have an opportunity for them to join you. And also, you guys, a lot of it comes down to belief. Like, do you really truly believe that you have something for people to join you in? Like, do you really truly believe that you have something worth inviting to? Because if you do, then you don't want to shut your mouth about it. You want to keep talking about it. You want to keep bringing people into your community. You want to keep bringing people into this business. You want to keep bringing people into your workouts and into something that's changed your lifestyle. Like for me, workouts changed my marriage, and personal development changed my marriage. So I won't stop sharing about that, because it literally changed so much that it's become a part of us, a part of me, and a part of our relationship, my husband and I. My business, you know, it's changed everything for my family, and I'm always constantly sharing about all the different ways that it's changed the future of our family, the different things that we're able to do, and it's also just changed my own confidence and belief in myself. And so I'm always thinking and talking to that woman that is on the other side of the screen, still struggling to believe in herself and still struggling to believe that she has a story that's worth sharing, because I was that girl. So if you think about it like that, and you really are always in the back of your mind thinking about, what can I share that will connect with that woman? Because if I really, I have my why, I have my kids that I want to work so hard for, my family and our future, but I want to work even harder, even on the days that I don't feel like it, for the person on the other side of the screen who needs this so badly. And if I don't share, she has an opportunity to maybe not ever hear of the good news that she could join us and that there's a place for her. So be kind of thinking about that as you're sharing. And so that's why, like, a lot of my girls and I, we share no matter what. We invite all the time. But it doesn't feel like that, because you're constantly telling a story and you're constantly just connecting with them. Okay, any little tips? I was trying to think of some tips and things that I was sharing. Like, I could get so nitty gritty into like all the things. I'm gonna try to show you one thing that I get asked about all the time. There's two things, okay? So let me take like a boomerang here. Okay, so I get asked about this a lot. Can you guys see this? This is gonna be really tricky. Okay, so I just took a boomerang, all right? The one question I've been getting from a ton of people is, how do I do like a thin film over my whole story? Okay, so you're gonna go up here, see where these markers are up here, do a little squiggle line. Okay, so we're gonna click the squiggle. Then it brings up these options. You're gonna click that middle circle that looks like a highlighter. Okay, it's slanted. So here we go, I've clicked it in the middle. Okay, you see it right up there. Now down here, you can change your color. So like, I prefer like this like kind of mauve-y kind of color. So I'm gonna go down like this. I've changed it, and I'm gonna hold down. Bam, and my whole screen is that color. And you can obviously change it to, like, if you wanted to change it to a different color. So that is how you do that. So you've got this color screen on here. If I wanted to like really create it kind of like engaging like, and I wanted to really just show like my screen, what I can do then is click the eraser, which is the top right. So here's my eraser up at the top. I'm gonna move the dial up so I get a bigger eraser here. So I moved it all the way up. And then what I can do is, this is super hard to show you. What I can do is color over my screen and just kind of like create some extra, some extra depth or whatever. And then, down here I could write and type out, I'm still on the eraser, but I can write and type out whatever I wanted to. So there's an option for that, because I get asked about that a lot, of how in the world do you like do that color screen. So that's one that's super fun. Okay, so now let me show you one other option. So, okay, I've got my boomerang still, but I want to put a picture in there. Okay, so I want to put a picture in my screen. Like, I do this a lot when I'm talking about podcasts or things like that, where I want to show like the name of the podcast, or I'm like, personal development, talking about whatever I'm doing in my morning routine. Next up is my PD, how I love, filling my mind for the morning, or whatever cheesy thing I want to say. And then I will add a picture in. So this is how you're going to do it. Okay, let me see if I can show you. So I've done my boomerang, right? I've taken my boomerang and I'm going to slide out, okay? And I'm going to go to my camera roll. So I'm going to click on my camera roll. I'm going to go into my pictures here. I'm going to find Here, I'm gonna use a quote instead. So I'm gonna find the picture that I want, okay? I'm in here, here's my picture. I'm gonna click this little thing here, and I'm gonna click copy photo. Now I'm gonna go back into my Instagram, and it's gonna pop up like a sticker. And now I can move it around and put it wherever I want it. Maybe I even add like a little squiggle line to it. Like I want to add, you know, a little point. So I'm going to click the arrow, and I maybe do like a little arrow to it. Okay, so you can see how. Does that make sense? Can you guys see that? Okay, so you can add a sticker there. So this is also a really fun way to, if you're talking about a product, or you're talking about, oh gosh, I mean a book, or you're talking about your team. Maybe you want to talk about your team and you're like, oh my gosh, my girls, like this last January we were at a retreat, and you put a sticker, like a little picture of them right there, of your girls right there, and a little arrow pointing down. You can see how it just creates more engagement. It just creates more just difference in what people see. It just creates some depth into different things that you're doing. So, okay, does that help? There's so many, oh my gosh, there's so many things that, you know, that you can do, and so many like little tips and tricks. But number one, do not get carried away with the fluffy stuff, you guys. Stories is not for the fluff. Like I just blew your mind with like two little quick little small things that you can use. Like, you know, a lot of times, like I'll do my Hyperlapse videos, I do that highlighter on, so it's all kind of muted, like a white or a color that's kind of for my brand. And so it's something different that they kind of see and they come to expect. And then, like I said, podcasts or quotes and things, like I'll put like the little sticker on there and a boomerang or in something that I'm talking about. So that is some ideas for you guys to use to kind of just create some differences, but don't get hung up on all the fun stuff. Like if this is like too much for you, don't do that. Focus on sharing your story, you guys. Your Instagram stories can be your freaking superpower if you let it be, and if you choose to show up and just be imperfect with it, but just show up. People just want to see you. The second that you stop showing up, the second that you stop being consistent, gives them that one opportunity to be like, oh, she's just like all those other coaches that I see start and quit something, right? People are, sadly enough, they're looking for that. They're looking for you to quit to be like all the other people, right? All the other people who do these kind of businesses, these network marketing businesses. So don't be that way. Just continually show up. Try a little bit more. Try a little bit different things. But bottom line is let them connect with you. Your story should be the opportunity that you have to really build that quick connection with people, and just let them see what it is that makes you you. And then you add in some invites. But the rest of this stuff, they're just getting to see you be a good mom, be creative, be a business owner, be, you know, loving soccer, or like whatever it is that you like. So that should be something that kind of takes the pressure off too. Okay, let me look at your questions. I wish I could just unmute you guys. Okay, let's see. Holy moly, a lot of questions. Okay, let me scroll up. Hyperlapse, thank you to my girls who put that in there. Okay, templates. The templates are on Canva, canva.com. Like I said, there's actually, like if you just type in the search bar, there is a Canva Instagram story template. So you can create them. There's a bunch of them there that you can use as well. Okay, there's other sites you can use too. Like you can use, you know, Over is another, it's like an app on your phone. But if you guys can get into the habit of creating one story deck a week, or for even just for the month, like start for the month and have it in Canva, then you can constantly change it up. Save it for the next month, create a copy of it, and change out the wording and change out the pictures and the colors, and it looks completely different, okay? So that's a good option. Unfold on your phone also is great for stories as well. Like if you wanted to put two pictures together, like I'll often, you know, put a couple pictures of my kids on like a white background if I want it to look a little bit cleaner. Okay, let's see. Rebecca, do you mention price much in your story slide? Sometimes and sometimes not. That was just something that we tried. One of my girls made this deck of slides specifically that I showed you here, and so we kind of did that this month and added the 140 in, and it's honestly, now in my business, it's helped a lot because people just kind of are like, they don't want all the fluffy stuff. They just want to know that they can join me and what it is. So I would just try it. It's totally, it's going to be different for every single person. Okay, what else? I'm trying to go through. Let's see. Suggestions and tips to get more eyes on your stories. It kind of goes back to what I talked about on the Instagram content training of, obviously, make sure you're giving value. Like, be constantly giving things, even if it's like something as silly as using a picture and putting a quote on it in your stories. Like, I get those shared all the time, and it's just little things that you can do to encourage somebody, to give them a couple tips. Like the other day, let me see if I can find it quickly. The other day I gave, in my stories, I just gave like 5 story slides of creating a morning routine. Like, I was running out of time and I had, didn't have time to make a big pretty deck, but I just like asked them questions. Like, here's an example. It was like, are you struggling getting started on a morning routine too? And I just like gave them little questions, and I had little poll boxes. And so then at the end of it, I gave them, like, I had them swipe up, and then, just like doubled them all. So you can see they've got the swipe up and that kind of thing. And then I went into just like little, 5 simple steps to get their morning started. And this was just like written in there, but I used the color on the background. That was my, the color of my kind of like brand and scheme. So if you're struggling to get eyes on your stories, of course, there's just not a lot of ways to like really create that to happen like quickly. So just keep sharing, keep giving value, keep, asking people for what you want them to do, share it, save it, all those kinds of things. And then in your post too, don't be afraid to say, like, to make a post about your morning routine and then say, head over to my stories today where I dive deep into what my morning routine looks like, and drive people over to your stories. That can help too. Links in my bio. I have a website that I have, but people will use Linktree. Milkshake is a good one also. It's really cute and just clean. But I have like a Wix website that I created really easily. Okay, let's see. Anything else? You guys are hilarious. What just happened? Anything? Yeah, I feel like I could do a whole call. I mean, I literally would be on for another hour if I tried to do a bunch of tips and tricks. So maybe I'll go live talking about a couple other things soon and see if you guys would prefer that. Okay, waiting for you to quit. All right, anything else? I think this is pretty much it. Okay, how do you do all this without feeling glued to your phone? Stories are overwhelming for me. It takes so much time. Okay, so like I said, I post after the fact a lot. Like, usually like the big hub of my stories. I mean, I wake up early, so in the morning is like, my morning stories are like pretty solid, pretty consistent, like always a hyperlapse in my morning routine. My devotions, I share my devotions. I have a lot of girls who have like come to know Jesus from getting into hearing my devotions every single day. So I share a lot of consistent things in the morning. Usually this like in between time is like a couple that I just take pictures, videos, whatever, and I just save them. And then when I get a free moment where like my kids are doing something else, then I upload those, or just like in little pockets of my day, and then in the afternoon and evening too. So just remember, like, you can either play the victim mentality of like, I don't have enough time to do this, there's no way that I could be this present on social media, like this is too overwhelming to me. Or you can be like, okay, I've got this, I am a little bit busy, I've got a lot of kids running around, I've got a lot of priorities and things to do, but if I want my business to be successful, then I need to show up and show out and let people connect with me. So I'm going to take the stories, but I'm going to just upload them later. Like, I have some girls that upload literally their entire day, like almost at the end of their day, and then they have them still up for the rest of the time. So you can either play the victim mentality, or you can figure it out and figure out a way to just make it work for you. Don't spend a lot of time on all the fluffy stuff then. Like, just be present, getting in front of them. Like, this happens to us a lot. Like, we'll be ready to go like out to dinner or go on a drive right now, especially with quarantine right now. It's been like, we're all at home all the time. And so I'm like, okay, 5 minutes. And I go sit on my front porch. I've got my story slides made, and this is literally the ones that you just saw me do. That was me last night. We were about to go hit some golf balls at the country club to get the kids out of the house. And so I posted my little Monday story slide, my 2 ones, and then I just said, hey you guys, there's still $20 off, and I just like talked in a clean place, bright light, and I saved that video, and then I did one more video, like just like literally saved, and then did one more talking about my team and how much I love them. If you want to be mentored by me, one by one, blah blah blah. I talked all about my team and mentorship, and then I saved that one. And then on the car ride on our way to the club, we had 5 minutes. I loaded those stories up, put a little bit of words with them, and I also made sure that I didn't record past a minute. Because when you record past a minute, then you gotta go to like another app and cut it so that it fits in your Instagram. So be mindful of those things, and as you start to do it, it'll get faster, and you'll start to see the things that are a better option for you to do than spending too much time on all the frilly stuff. And work together with some girlfriends. It takes me a long time to create really pretty slides, but my two coaches, Dylan and Lindsay Ann, are like really awesome at creating story slides, and so a lot of times they create them and just send out the copies, and we all just kind of make them our own. And that helps a lot too, to help your team with that. So, you know, work together too and kind of figure out who has a strong point and who doesn't, because I know that helps me a ton. You know, this is not just all me. You know, we all learn together and find new things that work, and that helps us a lot. Okay, anything else? I think that's pretty much it. Okay, wait, you guys are having problems with something. Problems with pictures, dropping it into the videos, I guess. I'm not really sure. You can also, like when we're talking about the stickers, you know, copy it from the camera roll, and then when you go into your boomerang or whatever, just like click like you're about to type to where it brings up the little paste, and click that paste, and it should pop it in there too if it doesn't pop up as a sticker. So that will work also. Okay guys, I just took an hour of your time. Holy moly. Thank you for most of you guys staying on this whole time. If you have more questions, drop them in the chat, and I will connect on them, you know, over the course of today. And just let me know if there's anything else you need. And like I said, we can do another like Zoom or something where I do like a tutorial on other things that I'm so not like an expert, but I know a couple things. So I hope this was helpful, you guys. Start to utilize them, implement them, ask your questions below, and then Thursday you will have your actionable, what's it called? Task. I can't think of the word. Task for you to do. I will post something for you, and it'll be a task for you to do that day. Something to do with Instagram and just being present. So stay tuned for that, and just start implementing slowly. Like I would love for you guys to drop them below in this chat and just let us see you trying to put them into action. I would love to see that. Or you guys have been tagging me in your posts when you're doing the HICCO formula, and you guys have been tagging me in stories when you're doing different things like hyperlapse videos and stuff. So tag me, because I genuinely am so excited to teach you guys. And just thanks for listening and spending time with me today. I'm gonna go hang out with my kids, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.